Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment here for my NFL Week 1 predictions. For the 2022-23 NFL season, it kicks off tonight, and that is right, I am back with my weekly predictions. This year, I will be consistent. Now, again, it's always either going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday because I swear to God, every single week, one of those nights or two of those nights, I'll have something going on, some sort of family function, something that I have to go to, and I'd rather stream at a more comfortable time than like me having to come on here like really late at night where no one's really going to be able to watch. So it's a little fluid, but you'll get it before the Thursday night football game. I guarantee you of that. So we will be consistent this year when it comes to that. Also, if you have not yet joined the ESPN Sports Fan Entertainment Pick'em League, the link for that is down in the description box below. Password is lowercase SFE. $100 will go to the first place winner, $25 to the second place, and then $10 to the third. So if you haven't already joined that, if you want to participate against me this year, go ahead and do that. At the very least, you might win some money. So we have an interesting week 1 here with some dramatic matchups indeed. The NFL schedule makers knew what they were doing this week. It's just so on the nose. It's ridiculous. And we're going to begin here with what a lot of people assume to be a Super Bowl preview in the Buffalo Bills traveling to LA facing the LA Rams. Now, I do, by the way, my betting picks at the very end. I have 5 betting picks that I give at the very end. So if you're interested in that, that's my guarantee segment. I always leave a timestamp for that. I just do straight up when it comes to all 16 games. Now, I will say, though, I'm very surprised that the Bills are favored in this game by 2.5 points. Look, the Bills are improved. They added Von Miller, but I think this offense is going to take a while to gel. There's 2 new pieces to the offensive line, 2 former Tennessee Titans and Roger Saffold and David Questenberry. 2 Titans that I like, by the way, but they need to get into the fold, into the fray, and get more cohesion with Josh Allen. You're also talking about no Cole Beasley, no Emmanuel Sanders, Gabriel Davis having a better role and much more of a role. What's that going to look like? I think this offense is going to take a little longer to gel, and there's no Tre'Davious White, who's the Bills' best corner and one of the best quarterbacks in the league. This is the Rams, ring ceremony. They're still hungry. They want more. This is Sean McVay. They're at home. Super Bowl winners almost never lose this game. I don't know why the Bills are favored. Give me the Rams to win this one. I think it'll be close and entertaining, but I think the Rams are definitely going to win this one. I'm surprised so many people have the Bills. We move on to the next game. We have the New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is an interesting game to me. Now, the spread is 5.5 for the Saints' favor, but this is a divisional contest. The Falcons are a team that will not be very good. And now I'm personally very intrigued to see what Marcus Mariota does this year, if he can truly have a career resurgence. I think he's going to do fine. I'm projecting, if he's healthy for all 16 games, I'll project like 22 touchdowns to like 11 interceptions, which is fine for nowadays. Hell, you could even, he used to be really good back in the day. I think he's going to be all right, but the team's just not very good. And that's the main problem. And I think he's going to get hurt because I think he's going to try to do too much, and they're going to end up putting in Desmond Ridder. So I don't think that will be a stat line. He'll probably end up with like 16 touchdowns and like 8 interceptions. Then that will be the end of that for him in terms of Atlanta being like starter potential, probably a backup next year, and then him starting somewhere else again somewhere. I think he's going to have a long career in this league if he wants to, but he could also quit like Jake Locker and say, screw all this, I'm out. He could definitely do that, but I'm very intrigued. I will have my eyes on this one as the Titans play at 3:15, but for right now, you got to go with the Saints. They're very talented again. I only have the Saints winning 8 games this year, but you can't deny their talent. I just want to see consistency from Jameis Winston before I completely invest. And also, I want to see Dennis Allen be a good head coach because I haven't seen that yet. We got to go with the Saints in this one, even in Atlanta, even in a divisional game. We move on to the next game. We have the San Francisco 49ers at the Chicago Bears. And I'm just not a believer in the Bears this season. I think they're the same team they were last season, but now you have no Khalil Mack. Now, he was out for half the year anywhere last year, but the offensive line still stinks. The wide receivers still aren't very good. Justin Fields still isn't very good. He's going to be slightly improved, but when you haven't improved the offensive line of the receivers, why should I care? Why should I care? The defense, okay, you have 2 new young pieces in the secondary. They're going to take a while. So I don't care, especially for week 1. You got to go with the 49ers, even with a first-year starter in Trey Lance. We move on to the next game. as we have, there we go, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think this was going to be a closer contest than a lot of people are anticipating. I think the Steelers are going to be a better team than a lot of people are anticipating. Guys, they made the playoffs last year. Ben Roethlisberger was the worst rated quarterback in the league. I know his stat line wasn't that bad. Oh, he was bad. I mean, he was a walking tombstone. He's like the Undertaker at this point. You know, in terms of, yeah, this guy used to be a legend, but he can barely move. It was bad. Oh, people, it was bad. But now you're going to have some mobility with Mitch Trubisky. He's going to be able to hit some of these receivers. Trubisky isn't bad. He ain't great, but he ain't bad. He's made the playoffs before. He can make the playoffs with this team if the AFC wasn't so stacked. So this was going to be competitive. And I have the Bengals winning this one because they're at home and they're the better team. But I will not be surprised if the Bengals upset here. We move on to the next game as they have the Philadelphia Eagles at the Detroit Lions. And I think this was going to be intriguing. I could see the Eagles definitely choking this. An early loss for the Eagles in the season. Lions at home coming off a Hard Knocks. Dan Campbell getting his troops ready for week 1. I think this is going to be a close contest. The line for this is 4. I'm staying away from it. I'm not interested on either side. It's just too close to being. It's not 3. If it was 3, then I go Eagles, but it's not close enough for a touchdown for me to go Lions, so I'm staying away from this line. But I still got to go the better team here, and the Eagles are still the better team, even though the Lions have home field advantage. We move on to the next game. We have the New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins, and I'm not a big believer in the Patriots this season. I think they're going to take a step back, losing J.C. Jackson in the secondary and the offensive turmoil that they've been having. I just don't see it. They didn't add enough pieces around Mac Jones in the offseason. Miami, I am a believer in. I know they've added pieces and people are expecting them to choke, but I don't know how you add, and there's going to be some chemistry problems, but I don't know how you add a Tyreek Hill and the other pieces that you've added, improve the offensive line, improve the defense, and get a healthier, more season Tua Tagovailoa and not win more games. And they won 9 games last year. So I just don't see how you don't win more. Even though, the AFC is more stacked, I just don't see how you don't improve upon what you did last year, especially now that Tua is going to be healthy for the entire season, presumably, obviously. I got to go with the Dolphins here, especially because the Patriots have had their problems in Miami anyway, even when they've been the better team. But now I think the Dolphins are the better team, so they should definitely win in Miami. Next game, we have the Baltimore Ravens at the New York Jets, where Zach Wilson will be out for this game more likely than not. In fact, he looks like he's going to be out for the first 3 weeks of the season. Already rest in peace to the New York Jets season. Wow. Jets fans, you must be miserable. You guys can't catch a break. Oh, man, I hate to rub it in, but it's ridiculous at this point. The Jets and the Giants have stunk consistently for so long. I mean, it's really hard to win 5 or less. Okay, this is applied to the Jets because they had like one decent year kind of relatively recently. The Giants know it applies to them. It's really hard to have what they're going on 4 or 5 seasons now with 5 or less wins. That's hard. And they're going to do it again. It's unbelievable. Lamar Jackson fighting for his contract here. He's going to come out and ball out. Ravens normally ball out in week 1. Give me the Ravens to win in New York. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Washington Commanders. And the Jaguars have been a hot sleeper pick. Everyone's like trying to call out, okay, better coaching in Doug Peterson. The progression of Trevor Lawrence, presumably. Travis Etienne, what is he going to do? Well, my thing is this. Etienne hasn't played in a while. Last time he played was in college. I mean, considerable minutes. I think he's going to be a little rusty. I think Trevor Lawrence, while there is a lot of problems with Urban Meyer and the culture in Jacksonville last year, he didn't play well, period. Yeah, at all. He had 7. He led the league in interceptions. He and Stafford did. But then at least Stafford had 41 touchdowns, so Trevor Lawrence is 12. Okay, so he wasn't very good. And I still don't think this team is very good. The offensive line is still below average. The defense stinks. Okay, so they're headed to Washington, where Carson Wentz is going to eat on this defense a little bit. Now, he didn't in the Week 18 game last year for Indianapolis, but he should in this one, as I could argue the Commanders have a better wide receiver core. In fact, I will argue than the Colts had last year at Week 18 point. So give me the Washington Commanders to win this game in Washington. Next game, you have the Cleveland Browns at the Carolina Panthers. Baker Mayfield going up against his former team. Now, the schedules did not plan on this, but boy, did it work out, and I'm ready for this. I can't wait to see what Baker Mayfield does in this revenge game. There's a report that he was saying he can't wait to beat the Browns' ass in this game. And this was controversial. I don't know why. I love it. That's how he should feel. That's how I'd feel. That's how any man would feel. And hopefully he's not too over anxious about it. He doesn't press too hard. I don't think he will. I think it's revenge here, although the Browns would get revenge long term. The past this year, not this year. I think the Panthers are actually going to be better than the Browns this year. Give me the Panthers to win this game at home. Next, give me the Indianapolis Colts at the Houston Texans. Upset alert here, people. I think people are sleeping on this game. The Texans were kind of hot, for their standards, to finish last year beating the Jaguars pretty considerably. They came close to beating the Titans, close-ish. I mean, it was 28-25. They beat the Chargers. That was impressive late in the season. So they could ride that momentum in this season. Better coaching now with Lovie Smith. They could sneak up on surprise and beat the Colts. But the problem is the Texans defense still stinks, and it stinks really bad. So even in the worst of circumstances, I can't see how Jonathan Taylor alone isn't good enough to beat the Texans, even if the Colts are sleeping. So give me the Colts here, but I think it's going to be competitive. I think the Texans are going to put up more points than people are anticipating. We move on to the next game. The New York Giants at the Tennessee Titans. All righty, here we go. Thank you, NFL gods. Hopefully, because this should, for Christ's sake, be one of the lower stress week 1 games that I've experienced in my life, because usually I'm stressed as hell week 1 when it comes to this team. Whereas we're all presuming that the Titans are going to win this game. If we lose, oh boy, do we have problems down here. As we have the Bills next week, I really don't see a way we lose this game. We're just better than the Giants in almost every single position. Actually, I would argue maybe every single positional group. I really would argue every single positional group. Maybe you could argue if the Giants' offensive line is actually improved, then maybe not. But we have to see that. Okay? I mean, Evan Neal should be great. I don't know. We'll see. So, I mean, we're pretty much better than every single positional group. This is the Titans all the way. I'd be surprised. Although I will say, okay, we're still better at wide receiver than they are, because they're just unproven at wide receiver. Until these wide receivers do anything, and Kenny Golladay is not going to do anything for them, so he doesn't count. He's been a disaster. They almost cut him. So don't tell me about Kenny Golladay. I do want to see how these wide receivers look on Tennessee. So I'm going to say it'll not be that impressive. I'm expecting like 24 to like 16 or something, but I just don't see it where the Giants actually win this thing. So I'm very comfortable, but I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout either. All right, move on to the next game. The Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings have been beating the Packers lately the past number of seasons. 4 out of the last 6 matchups that they've had, the Vikings have gotten the upper hand. Now you're talking about week 1 where the Packers are still figuring out the wide receiver situation. Allen Lazard should not be available for this game. I'd be very surprised if he plays. That's going to hurt the Packers. They're going to have to play the rookie wide receivers quicker than they wanted to. Are they ready for this contest to face Minnesota, a team that should be improved offensively? They were pretty good offensively last year. They just got an offensive coach. And they've been talking a lot about how well they're gelling. The defense should also be improved right now. Daniil Hunter is healthy. You got to love that. I got to go with the Vikings here. I think the Vikings are going to – I don't like picking against Aaron Rodgers week 1. He's normally really strong week 1 as long as he's not facing like the 49ers. But I got to this year. I think the Vikings start off strong, 1-0 here, and get a lead in the NFC North. And where I have both teams tying at 10-7, by the way. Kansas City Chiefs at the Arizona Cardinals. Very intriguing matchup here where the Kansas City Chiefs are -6. Shocking line to me. Absolutely shocking. I understand that DeAndre Hopkins is currently suspended. I don't care that much. Without him, they were still pretty, explosive last year offensively, for the most part. They had their struggles in there, but they had some good games for sure. And they started off 7-0 last year, people, for a reason. Like, they started off the season strong. Now, I don't like the fact that they lost Chandler Jones, and that's why I ultimately have them barely making the playoffs this year at 10-7. And they're finally going to appreciate what he meant to that football team, because they never appreciated how much Chandler Jones meant to that football team. Chandler Jones is low-key going to be a Hall of Famer. It's going to be absurd. One of the most understated Hall of Famers of all time. He has absolute Hall of Fame numbers without a doubt about it. Week 1. And the Chiefs offense still trying to gel. Cardinals have a better run game. I got to go with the Cardinals at home. I think they start strong in the season again, just like they did last year to a certain extent. I'm not sure they're going to start 7-0, but I like them week 1 for the upset here. I think people are really sleeping on this matchup. All right, move on to the next game. You have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Chargers, where we have Justin Burrow with high expectations of the Chargers team, with high expectations overall. Vegas Raiders. Now, I'm kind of sleepy on them. I only have them 9-8 this year, but I admit, hey, they have playoff and even Super Bowl potential depending how strong Josh McDaniels is this season. We're expecting a shootout here. We're expecting a close contest here. And last year they had 2 close contests, so this will be no surprise to any of us. Last time the Raiders got the upper hand, and I think the Chargers remember that. I think that remains in their memory. And, man, I can't wait to see this Bosa and Khalil Mack duo. Give me the Chargers in this one, but it's certainly going to be a close and entertaining one indeed. We move on to the next game. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Dallas Cowboys, where the Cowboys are going to be missing Michael Gallup in this game, still figuring out their wide receiver core in terms of how much Jalen Tolbert will be involved. So I don't love that. The defense should still be good. Micah Parsons should still be great. I mean, he was so impressive last year. Trevon Diggs, a little overrated. Yes, 11 interceptions last year, a little overrated in terms of coverage. He's like a boomer bust cornerback, really, if you ask me. So I'm interested to see how he continues to develop this upcoming season. Brady has missed a lot of training camp. Offensive line changes. Will they be ready to go in this game? I'm unsure about that. However, Brady on the national stage facing the Cowboys, oh, come on. He's going to beat them. I mean, I just trust Tom Brady to do that. I just trust Tom Brady's competitive nature to beat America's team on Sunday Night Football. That's just what I trust. That's just what I believe. So give me the Bucs in this one. If it wasn't for that one aspect, though, I think this is actually scream Cowboys, because I think they could have more success running the ball against the Bucs, especially now that they don't have JPP or Ndamukong Suh, who, by the way, are still on the street. I mean, you guys can call them if you want to. You don't want to? Well, okay. I mean, they're still there. All right, we move on to the Monday Night Football game, and this is one of the dramatic matchups I was referring to, the Denver Broncos at the Seattle Seahawks. All right, Russell Wilson returns to Seattle. Wow, don't you love how the gods already had this? I think the schedule had already been out when Russell Wilson was traded. But either way, Denver was always slated to face Seattle regardless, right? Those opponents are already set in stone before, years prior. So that's always going to happen. This is going to be crazy. It's going to be emotional. I think he will get a mixture of boos and cheers. He's been talking a lot more lately about how the Seahawks actually really wanted to trade him even as far back as 2018, which is absolutely absurd, absolutely preposterous, and absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and I can't wait to see Russell Wilson ascend. I'm not sure the Broncos will make the playoffs. I have them making the playoffs, but the AFC is so stacked, I'm not sure that's going to happen. But I'm guaranteeing this. Russell Wilson will win another Super Bowl before his career is up, and it will be in Denver, and I think it's going to be in the next 3 to 5 seasons, and that'll be vindication. It'll be just as much vindication, if not more, than the Patriots getting rid of Tom Brady, and I can't wait for it. I'm calling it. Watching the Seahawks dissolve their defense, become more an offensive team, and never in the 10 years that Russell Wilson was there, giving him a top 10 offensive line ever, never having done that, and still him putting up MVP quality seasons. Guess what's about to happen? He is about to show, we're going to see Russ cook. Let's ride. Give me the Denver Broncos here in an absolute blowout that will show the Seahawks a glimpse of what Russell Wilson is about to accomplish outside of Seattle. I cannot wait for it. All right. With that, so we move on to my betting picks of the week. These are my guarantees of the week. These are my betting picks. So I normally do 5 or 6 a week, depending on how many lines that I like. And these are the lines that I like this week. Ravens -7. The Jets stink again, and the Ravens, they should be back to being a playoff team. Remember, they were 8-3 before they started having injuries and fell to 8-9 before year's end. They're going to be back and strong, whereas the Jets are going to stink once again. 49ers, again, I don't trust the Bears. I think they stink. Now, the one thing that concerns me about this line is that even teams that aren't particularly good, like the Bears, they're better than the Jets. They can do something week one, new head coach, some excitement. So maybe things could be a little closer. The 49ers aren't ready. But I still feel very confident that the 49ers should go in there and win by at least 10 points. So give me the 49ers -7. Give me the Steelers +6.5. I like this line. Again, it's a divisional contest. Steelers defense is still strong. Trubisky's going to give these wide receivers more to do, more of Najee Harris to do in terms of being free, having a mobile quarterback. The Steelers are going to compete. They're going to be formidable this season, people. I'm telling you. If they actually had a good quarterback, they'd be a Super Bowl contender. But they do not. They have an average one at best. Hell, he's below average starter in Trubisky. But he's still good enough to compete, even against the Cincinnati Bengals, even in Cincinnati. We have the Arizona Cardinals +6. I mean, I have them straight up. So you're giving me 6 points. Okay, at the very least, I know this. Kyler Murray, at the very end of the game, can get me a late backdoor cover. I know that for an absolute fact. So give me some of that. Give me the Cardinals +6. And then give me the Broncos -6.5. Again, I think it's going to be an absolute throttling of the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Yes, I know Jamal Adams and some pieces are still there. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, I don't care. They're going to throw in the towel. A lot of them, DK Metcalf just saw the money signs and said, okay, fine, I'll stay. Outside of that, the Seahawks aren't going to compete. They know they're not going to compete, and it's going to be great. I'm telling you, I can't wait to see the Seahawks get absolutely embarrassed for the next years to come, knowing that they let this franchise stud quarterback go. What a wasted opportunity. At least they got a Super Bowl out of him. A lot of teams could say that they never did, but wow, it's going to be bad, and I can't wait to see it. So there you go. Those are my NFL Week 1 predictions. What are your picks and predictions? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. See you all later.